James Gunn, industry consolidation. What is your feeling about it for a company like Troma? Are we just whining because we, don't really have what it takes, or do you think it is more difficult now to get established in the media than it was, say, in 1995?
Well, it's way more difficult to get established in media than it was in 1995. Simply because there's less slots. I mean, especially in film, there's less movies being made overall, even at the studios. Disney in 1995 was probably making 25 movies a year. Paramount was probably making 25 movies a year. Now those studios are making, I think Paramount made, 2 movies last year? Disney made 4 or 5. So there's hardly any movies being made these days. So it's a lot different. And then independent film, of course, has pretty much nearly died in terms of there actually being a market for it. I think that a lot of the revenue that went into films has gone into video games and TV. It used to be that you would take a risk in watching a movie, and if the risk pays off, you get an hour and a half or 2 hours of a good movie. If it goes bad, you get an hour and a half or 2 hours of a bad movie. But with TV, people go online now, they can watch it, they can pay for a single episode. If it's bad, they lose an hour of their life. And if it's good, they gained maybe 30, 40 hours of television they can watch. So the ratio is much different in terms of the risk-reward. And also, just video games are just so much bigger than they were back then, and that takes up so much of the market. So I just think it's much harder for films in general. I think the only movies that, really sort of, the movies that really are... stand out, I guess, are the big, tentpole films, and that's kind of the movies that matter. Those are the ones people still go to the theaters to see. People don't go to the theaters as much for other types of movies, but for big, huge tentpole movies, people still turn up at the theater. Yeah, I don't think that there's really any honest self-sabotage as far as Troma is concerned. I mean, Lloyd, you're an artist and you do what you want to do, and so that makes it that you make a particular type of movie that isn't always the most commercial. I do the same thing. I mean, I make movies that are the movies that I want to make, and sometimes they're big commercial movies, and sometimes they're movies like Super, which, it made some money, but it's an for lack of a better term, it's a cult film. And that's what it is. It was made for a very specific small audience, and that's who I made it for. And I made it for the people that would love that movie, not for everyone. When I make a movie like this, like Guardians of the Galaxy, it's an attempt to make a much bigger film that speaks to a broader audience. It's just different audiences for different people. When I made, I've made kids movies and I've made horror movies. They're for very different audiences. It's not that one is different than the other. I think the future of independent films is very small. I think independent films will always exist, but I think there's going to be many fewer of them that are able to make money than ever were before. So to be good at making independent films, you have to be really good, much better than I was when I was making independent films. You have to be the very best. And that means there's going to be a smaller amount of people able to make a living from directing or writing or acting in independent films. So you have to really make sure that that's what you're good at. And as much as people hate when I say this, wanting to do it is not enough. You want to do it, and more importantly, you need hard work, and more importantly than that, you need talent. And I think that it's good for people to really see what their talents are before they commit to any sort of occupation. And I think it's not so much about what we want to do in life. It's like, where are you gifted? What are you good at? And I think it's good for every young person to have a seeking out period of their life in which they go out and try to find what they're really good at and do that, because people aren't happy doing what they want to do. They're happy doing what they're good at. That's my belief.
Head to TalkinTroma.com for more Troma history. Also available wherever you listen.